Yo, what's up? This is going to be about charging the e-208. So, before I start, I'm going to compare 4 different cars in similar price range. It'll be the Zoe, the e-208, Ioniq, and the MG ZS EV. Yes. And then on most of these other charging sessions, I start at 10%, but this time I actually try to start with 5%. So we'll see the beginning, and then, yeah, let's go. Okay. So you see that already in the bottom, it actually hits 97 kilowatt. Quite nice. I heated up the battery enough. And then now we start with all the other charging sessions also. So it's a big mess here, but you see, I marked them, which car is which one. And you see that the e-208 charges quite fast compared to the other ones. But also the MG is fast. But I believe that this charging session with the MG was it was cold getting, it was in winter, so I couldn't get good enough heat in the battery. So we actually need to redo the test with the MG, and we also need to redo the test with Ioniq, because Ioniq, I believe, also can charge faster than this. So you can now just keep in mind that the 2 bottom ones, they need to be retested in better conditions. But already now you see that the e-208 start throttling, but I actually got a later throttle compared to some other cars. And also when I did this earlier, then I didn't heat it up enough. So I actually wonder if I should heat up the e-208 even more, because it has active cooling and everything, so it can take that stuff. But okay, so you see after 12 minutes, I actually have to subtract 1 or 2 minutes. If you compare with the other timers, it seems to be about 1.5 minutes ahead that we started. But you see that still now, at almost 50%, it can still maintain 76 kilowatts. All the other cars, they are way slower than the e-208, so this is actually very impressive. And another thing you should notice is that the e-208 has higher voltage than most other cars. So you see, the MG is actually similar, but most cars, they have voltage similar to the Zoe, which is about 350 to 400 volt, and then the Ioniq is even lower. I think the Ioniq is about 300 to 360 volt or something. That also affects the performance when you go on 50 kilowatt fast chargers. But there you see, it also starts throttling now in the e-208. Eventually it throttles there. But it's still good because it has a really big head starting compared to the other cars. And also, look at Zoe and Ioniq. Those cars, they charge so slow. They can't hit more than about 45, 48 kilowatt, unfortunately. Whereas the 2 other ones to the left, they can at least hit about 70, 80 kilowatt, or actually 95 kilowatt for the e-208. And that helps a lot because you see now, the 2 left ones, eventually they will throttle even more. But you see, it's been taken about, well, okay, it depends how you look at it, but almost half an hour passed. And that's now we have reached the point on the MG and the e-208 where it's time to move to the next fast charger. But look at the 2 cars to the right, and you see, this is what I've been talking about during my 1,000 kilometer challenge, that I wish Zoe and Ioniq could charge faster. As I told back then that getting 45, 48 kilowatt is not going to cut it in 2020. You need faster speed to compare with, to be able to compete with the other cars. You know, you need at least 75 kilowatt. Even 75 kilowatt on Zoe and Ioniq would be way better than 40 or 36 or whatever. So but eventually the e-208 will also throttle. But again, like I mentioned earlier, I managed to heat up the battery nice and warm now, so it actually throttles later than I've seen in other videos. So I think my charging session here is one of the better ones, better than some of the other ones. I think there was a French guy who showed some stuff, but also you can also expect that in winter it will probably cold gate, and then you will get worse than this. So just keep that in mind, like you see in the MG, for example. But I have to say that the MG has really impressive charging speed, and I need to test it in warm weather, at least 15 degrees Celsius, to see how much faster it is, because the MG supposedly has very good charging speed especially at high speed, high state of charge. But okay, not much to say here. The cars are about to finish, but by the way, e-208 and well, these cars, they have similar capacity, available capacity. It's about 42 to 45 kilowatt hour roughly on all of these, except for Ioniq, which has about 38 kilowatt hour. It's lower, but the Ioniq is also more efficient than all of these. So in a way, you can actually compare state of charge in percentage directly, because you know, the more efficient car like Ioniq also has a smaller battery versus the less efficient car like the ZS EV or the e-208. But okay, eventually you see that the e-208 and the MG, they reach 90% about the same time. Actually, MG has a higher speed at 90%, and I believe it's supposed to be 25 kilowatt if the battery has been fully heated up. And I think at this point we have just skipped this. It's just getting a little bit boring. So MG and ZS has about the same speed roughly, but Zoe and Ioniq, well, you know, it takes almost an hour now. Well, actually, no, I was wrong. It takes over an hour if you want to charge it high. So yeah. Again, the takeaway from this is that the MG and the e-208, they can usually charge for about half an hour if you go to an HPC, and then you can move to the next one. And then whereas the two other ones, they need about 45 minutes. Yes. So very unfortunate for the two other ones, but here again, show you the strength in the e-208. So there are, you know, little things about this car that makes it worth buying. For example, the charging speed. Yeah. So anyway, I think that's going to be it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, thank you for watching, and talk to you later.